and welcome to today's episode of The Daily Blend. I'm your host, AC, and we are joined in studio today by Julia Myers, who is a keynote speaker and financial literacy expert and the founder of Generational Wisdom. How are you?
I am good. I'm very well. So excited to be here.
Oh, excited to have you. Tell me a little bit about this generational wisdom.
So I am a pharmacist by training, and I'm all about prescriptions. And when talking to my kids about money, the term that came up a lot was generational wealth.
Yeah.
Do I want them just to have the wealth? Not necessarily. So I say the prescription to generational wealth is wisdom. So the mindset, the common sense, the discernment, what do you do when you've got the money?
Yeah, because what do you do when you got the money? Like sometimes, you get the money and you don't necessarily know what to do with it, not always making the wisest decisions. And then you look back, man, I wish I had known some things.
Yes.
So you're heading that off at the pass, right, with this? Like,
yes, ma'am.
Start talking to your kids early.
Yes.
Is that the kind of the goal?
It's never too late, but the earlier the better.
Yes. So tell me, what's a typical conversation like with, what's the youngest? Like, what's a typical conversation like?
Yes. So at my house, my youngest is 8 now. So our conversations have evolved just a little bit. The oldest is 20.
Okay.
We're a blended family. And I realized that the different generations think about money differently. And so that's often the first question we'll ask is, where does money come from? And some kids will say, it comes from the bank of mom and dad, or it comes from working, or it comes from this plastic thing in my wallet.
Yeah.
And when you start to just realize just all the different areas of money, there's feelings, there's emotions, but then there's just the practical piece.
Yeah.
And I always like to say, start with the practical.
Start with the practical.
Basics.
Okay. Start with the practical. And tell me what the practical is. Where do we start?
Where do you start? I say you can start as young as you can understand the concept of sharing. Because your money isn't really your money.
Right.
And that's really hard for some of our young adults in the world to think about, or for those of us that are more mature and more like seeing our checks go away to different places. And so I say as soon as you are ready to talk about sharing, you can talk about sharing with others when it comes to being generous. And so I always say start with giving and start with being generous, both of your money, but it doesn't have to start with money. It can start with your time or your attention.
Sure.
3-year-olds know when you say you've got 3 minutes to put on your shoes and we're leaving the house, they also know we've got $3 that we're going to give in this way. And that's planting that seed of generosity early is what I've seen really help mitigate this thing we call entitlement. Parents are worried about my kid's entitled or those kids over there, not my kids.
Of
those
course,
kids.
never your kids.
And it starts with being generous and realizing it's not really yours to start with.
Yeah, that's what an interesting concept. And probably something that has to be maybe untaught. There are probably some things that have to be untaught when you're talking to an older audience, right?
Absolutely. And often I find people avoid talking about money altogether.
Totally.
Growing up, was that a household dinner table conversation?
No.
Absolutely. It was you do not talk
Absolutely
about
not.
money. You do not talk about politics or
religion.
Anything else.
Absolutely not. None of those
now
things.
I'm finding we're kind of doing a disservice by not talking about it. But it starts with unpacking at the roots, what are we talking about? And why are we feeling that way? And often it's feelings that go around money instead of money is the thing.
That's very interesting. It's interesting. I just had a conversation like this with my husband at the house about the feelings that are evoked anytime money comes up as a topic with anybody, especially when thinking about people in my age group. You just didn't talk about it.
No.
It was not discussed. It was not discussed at all.
Well, 24% of parents regularly talk to their kids about money. So if you are the 3 out of 4 that don't, now is a good time to start.
Yeah, I like that. So do you start to teach your kids early about like the concepts of saving and, saving and giving and, percentages? Do you start to talk to them early about those things?
So they know very early that where does money come from? It comes from hard work and solving problems. And that means lots of different things to lots of different people. But in general, can your kids answer? Where does money come from? What is money for?
Yeah.
Because
ask my kids when I get home.
What do you use it for? And so we really focus when they're younger, kind of elementary age, saving, spending, and sharing.
Saving, spending, and sharing.
Saving, spending, and sharing.
Okay, when they're younger.
When they're younger.
But that's a great foundation, though. I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's really the foundation.
It's the foundation. And then as they get into this middle school age, that's when things start getting a little bit more challenging. That's when we're starting to do the dance of, is this a need or is this a want? And I think we do a disservice by not explaining our decisions as parents or our decisions as adults to our kids at any age. When we're at the store, why are we buying something or why not? When we're making a purchase, why did we do it or why not? The illusion is there's hard and harder.
Yeah.
Or hard and easy. And the kids are like, I just want the easy button.
Sure.
There isn't an easy button.
No.
And we've got to teach them the skill set and the practice and that discernment. That's my key word. That's really what I like to teach is discernment.
Yeah.
When you have money, how do you know what to buy?
Yeah, very good. And I mean, what you just said, the grocery store is a really great way, easy, something that you're already doing, probably with your kids, to be able to start pointing those things out.
Absolutely. My favorite challenge for parents is to have the kids be in charge of the budget for that thing, that item. Give them an amount of money matching with their financial maturity or responsibility or lack thereof. And then have them do the exercise. Have them identify how much it costs, what do they want, and eventually if they're doing something, they're going to say, I have to pick between two things. And the secret, though, is they get to keep the change.
Oh.
Keep the change means they're spending that money like it's their own. But when it's mom and dad's money, it's spent so differently.
Oh, it's spent so differently when it's not your money.
Yes. So keep the change. That's the challenge for parents.
I love that. Keep the change. Okay, so I'm going to go home and we're going to do some keep the change challenge. I like it. Okay, Julia, I like that. If somebody is wanting to hear more from you, learn more about the generational wisdom, where can they find you?
JuliaMyers.com/talk. That'll give you 5 things to start talking about at the family dinner table about money.
Oh, I love it. All right, well, I'm going online and we're going to start talking about some money at the family dinner table. I like it. Julia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.